I'm here with the gentlemen of Underoath. We're here at Ram's Head Live on a nice sunny Tuesday afternoon.
Taco Tuesday.
Oh, it is Taco Tuesday. I'm gonna have to go.
I saw someone post some tacos, so that's why I said that.
I'm gonna have to go grab some in a little bit. So you guys disbanded, you reunited, whatever you want to call it. You're back again. What makes this the right time for new music from Underoath?
If you feel it, you feel it. That's a short answer. You know, we did a lot of things the wrong way and some things the right way, and we had to kind of burn the house down to come back to it to appreciate it. You know what I mean? It's like cheesy as you can get by saying you don't know what you got till it's gone, but that's kind of the scenario with this. And then after we got back together in 2016 to do like a reunion tour, we kind of realized quickly like, oh, we don't just want to do one tour and stop. We want to keep going. And then, you know, like all relationships, that turned into the next thing, and then the next thing, and then turned into making a record. So that's the short answer.
I like that. And how would you say the break you took benefited you, either personally or as the group?
I mean, tremendously. I think everyone needed a pause button on this thing. Like, everyone was in a bad way, I feel like. And our relationships on the inside with each other were bad. How we treated ourselves personally was bad. How we treated music and writing music was bad. All of it needed to be completely rethought out. So without the breakup or the break or whatever you want to call it, there would be, there would be nothing here. There definitely wouldn't be this record.
So hitting the refresh button, definitely a good decision?
Yeah, I think that's everything in life, you know. Relationships have seasons. You have to kind of go through one thing to get to the next thing. And I think for us, it was just such an unhealthy environment, like he said, for us personally, but also as a unit. So we needed to kind of get away from it for a little while in order to appreciate it, but also in order to become healthy individuals.
And with 8 years or so between albums, how are you able to sort of edit all those thoughts and feelings down into one album now?
It took like 2 years of writing to make the right record for us.
It was the first time in our career where we actually overwrote. Underoath has like historically been a band that like kind of fights over 12 songs for a couple of years and then records those songs, and that's what you get. This is the first record we wrote close to 30 songs for this record. So there was a large editing process in this, like you're saying, like it took us some time to figure out like how do we get to zero, what are we really trying to say, and distilling all those things down.
So what happened to those other 10 or so songs? Will they see the light of day? Will they be reincarnated in some way?
They weren't good enough.
No? Okay.
No, we don't do that. We don't do the whole, like, let's put out demos. I think a lot of bands do that and have success, and it's cool. And I think fans of said bands, whoever they are that do that, a lot of bands do that. The Killers put out one that I loved that was that. But I just don't like to show people my dirty underwear. Do you know what I mean?
That's a great metaphor.
No, I mean it. Like, I'm not going to, you know, like, unless you're in my family, I'm not going to show you, like, me throwing up or me like on a dark, in a different side that I don't want it to be seen. I want to put my best foot forward for you, especially if you're spending your money on something that we made. So we've just never really been into that, you know, because we really, like Underoath truly, when we compose songs, it starts in such an infantile place that a lot of it could be just nothing. So, yeah.
So what is it about, you know...
Sorry.
It's okay. I'm sorry. Please don't die. Hang tight with us. So what is it about the hard rock scene, hardcore scene, like in Central Florida, that seems to have birthed a ton of bands, like really good bands, yourselves included?
I have no idea. Like we've never really had much success as a local band or a whole lot of hometown hero vibe at all from where we come from. Maybe it's the fact that Florida is a place maybe you want to get out of, I guess, that makes people strive to leave. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of love there, but there's also a lot of hate, I think, in our hometown.
Isn't shit to do. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you can beach it up and do that whole thing, but like, I think there's a lot of bands because it's boring. You know what I mean? A lot of people retire there and play golf or sit on the beach. There's not a ton going on.
People just drinks and does drugs.
People just drink and do drugs in Florida. So I think as young kids, it was like, we gotta have something to do, and then we got into drinking and doing drugs later. But
one thing at a time.
Yeah, we had to. Yeah.
Well, and now you have Erase Me out, and how is that an evolution of sound since either active depression or even disambiguation?
In every way.
Every way.
in every way. I think the most important music you can make is music that is blatantly honest, how you feel, you know what I mean? And I think that something that we've been strong at doing as people is putting our most truthful foot forward. And that's not just lyrically, but obviously lyrically, but also musically. Like, I don't want to wear the same shoes I wore 10 years ago. Do you know what I mean? Like, and even if I did, I would get them resold every year or so. You know what I mean? Like, you've got to evolve. You've got to evolve, otherwise you've got a stagnated art form. And I'm just not interested in that. I'd rather work at Home Depot than make Define the Great Line 10 times. Literally. I actually would rather work at Wawa than make Chasing Safety again. And a lot of fans want you to keep doing that, but they think they want you to keep doing that. They don't really.
They don't know what they want. I don't think as listeners of music we know what we want. I think it takes a band to challenge your ears and your mind and your heart to actually have something that you're going to feel. And I think you want the same shit over and over again, and I don't believe that. Because every time a band's done that to me, if I hear the same exact record, it's just, even if it's better, it's not, because you fell in love with those songs. Everything sounds like a B-side to me. So we're those kind of people, and Underoath's always been those kind of people, and if you followed our career at all, you know how we do it. You know, it's always going to sound like Underoath, but it's going to be a twist and a turn, and, you know, and if you want the same record over and over again, go listen to a million other bands that do that, because that's not us.
There's a reason why when you do interviews, I'm sure, when you read comments online, people are like, I like their fucking first record the most. And you know why? Because there was no pretense there.
Nothing you compare it to.
There was nothing, but even for the artist, it was like they were a garage band. It didn't matter if it fucking failed or not. Like, it didn't matter. You know what I mean? And we've always approached our records that way. Especially with Erase Me, we had no idea what was going to happen, when it was going to come out, and we made it completely in secret with no timeline. With no, like, you got to turn it in by this date, which is what it is for most bands. We literally just started making records. So what you have is like a first record, you know, which is what you have with Define the Great Line, which is what you have with your own Chasing Safety, which is why we've had success. I believe that because people get it and they feel like, oh, this is mine. That's why people like a first record, because they discover something. And that's the whole thing. And if us as consumers, I have 1,000 vinyl in my living room. I'm a massive music fan. And I do the same thing, where I get a record, I'm like, fuck them, this is not their first record, this is a piece of shit, this is no good, I hate this doesn't sound like their last record. Then I begin to listen, and I begin to think, oh, wait a minute. Like, they're doing me a service. You know what I mean? Because a massive disservice would be for us to give you our first two records over and over and over and over. Even though
and make you pay for it.
Even though this record sold a bunch of copies and people like them, at that point I'm duping you.
That's selling out. To me, the definition of selling out is finding what worked 15 years ago and just recreating it over and over and over again. Because you know the band doesn't want to do that. You know no band wants to do that. I don't believe it. I do not believe you when you do that. And I think like what Aaron said is some of my favorite records, I didn't like at first. I was like, what is that? Why? I gotta hear it again. You know, like, and then you realize that it's just you weren't used to it. Like you were hearing something you had never heard from an artist, and it made you feel uncomfortable.
Which is a good thing, not a bad thing.
And once that dust settles and you can hear it, you're like, oh, this is fucking great. 9 times out of 10, you know, if you don't feel uncomfortable the first time you hear it, or you don't like, you're not like, what? I think you didn't really do anything. You know, you kind of wasted your time. We could go in the studio and shit out a bunch of Define the Great Line songs. We did that when we were 20-something years old, you know? Why would we do that again? It's not fun for us. You know, we don't want to fake it. And we definitely don't want to sell out. To me, selling out is making the same shit over and over again.
I also don't want to live in nostalgia of something that, you know, and I don't want our fans to live in nostalgia. Oh, this is just like my favorite record. Okay. Just listen to your favorite record. You don't have to, I don't have to give you another one. It's not fair to you. At that point, I'm taking from you. I'm getting something from you for nothing from me. You know how easy it would be for us to go back and do that? So easy. It would take a week to write 25 songs of that music. But we're 35. So we want to give you something that's our best foot forward now. So that was a long answer, I'm sorry.
So now with Erase Me being so different, how do you go about choosing a set list that is more cohesive if those songs and those albums are so different?
If you went to see Mick Jagger and he didn't play the Stones and Mick didn't play Satisfaction, you'd be fucking pissed. So you have to do everything. And we love doing everything, you know what I mean? Like, right now we're playing, this is our first tour on the record, and it's a B-market tour, which is smaller cities. We kind of are doing things backwards a little bit. We're only playing 4 or 5 new songs, and the rest is songs from our whole catalog. So you just have to kind of, but here's, like Spencer said, like, it's all under oath. It all fits. Yeah. Even if it's genrealistically different to your ears, it's the same 6 people. Right. Do you know what I mean? So it's
the stuff that sounds the funniest is our first record sometimes, because everything after Chasing Safety had a darkness to it, and that like kind of eeriness to it, and that one's so bubblegum and pop. It's the only one that feels the funniest to fit the songs in, but the fans like the song so much.
Chord structure.
Yeah.
And like sonically, it's funny because it's all like major and hyped, and it's like it sounds like pop punk kind of, and we're like, what in the world? Like, since '06, we haven't written like that, so that stuff's a little different. That's also my favorite when fans are like, you guys sold out, your music's pop now, and then they like Chasing Safety is the best. I'm like,
you listen to Chasing Safety, it's the most pop.
Can you? Do you have speakers?
You're seeing things backwards.
So it sounds like, you don't really, it sounds as though you don't really think about that fine line between, keeping fans happy and keeping yourself happy. You're focused more on musically keeping yourselves content and then kind of...
As an artist, 100%. I think the only good art's true art. And if you're not, once you start thinking about money or radio or your fans or what are the diehard fans going to think or what is this guy going to think, or you've already lost. I think if you love what's coming back out of you on the speakers, then that's a win. If all 6 guys in the band that, people trust us enough to buy our tickets and trust us as a band, like we trust each other too, and that's what we listen to. When all 6 of us are stoked, we're stoked. That's what Underoath is, the 6 of us being happy. If you don't like it, don't fucking listen to it. Do not care.
It's really that simple, right? Like, it doesn't need to be that hard.
Or it's even easier than this. Today some guy wrote this long comment, and we get 90% love and 10% hate, but the 10%, the trolls are so loud, and I got a comment today, and a guy said, he said, you guys sold out. You didn't think about your fans at all when you made this record. And I literally responded, I was like, you were there, huh? You know exactly what happened. And I kindly told the guy, I said, that's not what happened, number 1. But number 2, if you don't like it, just listen to another record. If you're a fan from back in the day and you think everything after your favorite record is shit, that favorite record still exists. That's the beauty of it.
You can press play on it.
Like, you can if you hate Metallica's newest record, but you love the Black Album, no one's going to erase it off the internet. Like, it's going to live there in infamy forever. You know what I mean? Like, Chasing Safety will always be on the internet. We're always going to play the hits live. It's always going to be there. No one's holding a gun to your head saying, if you don't like Erase Me, you can never listen to Underoath again. That's just asinine to me. And on the other turn, it's super flattering that somebody is so connected to a piece of music that's 12 years old that they refuse to go on. It's like my grandfather getting a new car. He was 80 years old, and my grandma was trying to give him a new car because his car was a piece of shit. He's like, I like this car. I'll drive it. It broke down all the time, but he kept it until he died. Hard-headed. You know what I mean? But he loved the car.
Old Buicks are okay, but speaking back to new music, what inspired the songwriting on this album?
Just life, man. Like, we had gone through a lot. There was a lot in between the last time we'd written together and within the band and personally for all of us. It's pretty easy to take our therapeutic sessions. We just write about what's on our heart, man. It's just our lives on paper and us being honest about it, which a lot of people I fear do not do. So we wanted to just put it all out there, like if it was our last record ever,
Awesome. So who did you collaborate with on this album, and how did that come together?
Matt Squire produced the record, but we didn't have many collaborators in terms of outside. Spencer and I, we kind of did a different thing with this record where Spencer and I wrote alone and Chris and Tim wrote alone, and the 4 of us is the sound of Underoath, and we kind of bring it together. So we all got together in groups, these 2 groups, and we wrote separately and then put it together and then wrote a lot together in the studio. And as far as a producer went, he is very much one of those fly-on-the-wall type of producers. It's like, he just lets you get to where you're going on your own. So he just kind of, every couple of days, be like, what if that's a D instead of a C, that kind of thing, but not very I'm going to rewrite all your songs. So there are guys out there that do that, and we just don't. We can't. We don't do that. Like we have to create our own thing 100% from the ground up. You know what I mean? So he produced the record, and it for him is more of a psychological role than anything, because there's so many strong opinions in Underoath. So being able to wrangle those opinions and make them make sense in order to get to an ending that makes sense is kind of what he did.
He's like the dad.
Yeah.
Or the shrink.
The dad or the shrink, yes.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. He kept us all in check.
All right. Well, last month you released a video for Rapture. Who came up with the treatment for that video?
I can't remember the guy's name.
We're working on it. We'll get it for you. What role do you see music videos having in 2018?
Well, I feel like they can be really important, and I also feel like at the same time they don't matter, because there's no platform on television or anything. But as far as YouTube goes, it's a huge platform. I mean, there's two videos in particular that our band talks about that are pretty recent. That the song is great, but the video is amazing, which makes the song even better. Because if you want to watch something more than you just want to hear it, that's huge. That's just really hard to do. It takes a lot of time, and I don't think in our scene any producers of music videos are doing that. I think we've had one. I think Writing on the Walls is a decent song, but I don't think it's as good as the video is. I think that's why that song is such a success. And I think we talked about it with the new Childish Gambino song, Made in America.
That video is absurd.
Watch
It's
it 12
so
times yesterday.
If you didn't see the video first, I mean, like, listening to the song with your eyes closed, it's a good song, but when you see it with the video, it's a phenomenal song.
right. I feel like the video makes that song.
Exactly, and we talked about this with Ghosts, Rats, their new song. Like, it's the same way. It's like, we played it for Tim, our guitar player, who's not a huge rock fan at all. He's like a hip-hop guy. He hates rock music. And he was like, I don't really... It's like, this is bullshit. And then we played it to him with the video, and he was like, oh, like, I see what's... He like, needed to see it and hear it. And I think a lot of people are like that. So I think the video is an important role, but it's next to impossible to get it right. Because the band isn't...
For videos like that.
Yeah.
Like he's saying that you want to make the song better. And we don't...
You don't have control of that stuff.
There's no one in our scene really doing that. Like, Ghost isn't really in our scene. I mean, they are now, sort of, but, like, there's no, you know...
We don't have that control, and we don't have the money that a lot of, like, the phenomenal videos you see, you know, are it's like, you know, there's a lot that goes into it, and I don't think bands in our genre get that opportunity. Maybe that'll change, but I think the idea of playing in a room as a band and putting crazy shit all over the screen, and it's like, that's so dead and dumb to me. Like, I hate our new videos. I think they suck. Like, the guy wrote something that I thought was awesome, and then that's always the gamble. You pay the money, and you go and you do it, and then you get it back, and you're like, that's not what we wanted, and you have to do it.
It's one of the only services in this business that you get a service done before you pay for a service before you see it. Then you get it back, and you're like, fuck. And then there are deadlines for things like that. They're like, oh, your record's coming out in 2 weeks. If this video isn't done, you're not going to have any visual component to your rollout. Yeah. And you're like, well, we could just put this pile of shit out, I guess. You know what I mean? Like, it's like the only thing.
Already spent. It's like the thing. It's like, and we try so hard to not be so overbearing, because we are pretty overbearing. There's a lot, like he said, a lot of strong personalities in the band. Like, we get all over our video director, like, before it happens, or we try to write the treatment ourselves. It's like, so much shit gets lost. We want someone with, it's like, we're not visual artists. We're artists. We're musicians. Right. We write songs. We write lyrics. We make music, and we tour. We want a visual artist to take an Underoath song and put us in it, involved somehow, and make a phenomenal, because we're huge fans of film, but none of us are filmmakers. Like, that's not our strong suit. Shouldn't be our job. But when we hire these people that are trusted, and your label tells you this, and your manager tells you that, and this band's done it, and that band's done it, and you throw the money on the table and you get back a pile of garbage, it sucks, man. It's like, it's a huge bum out. But I don't think that it's enough to, like, ruin a band or anything, because people are going to listen if they like the song. But it definitely, if you have a killer video, I think it can take the song, like we were talking about with Ghost and This Is America, like, to the next level. And then, like, if all the pieces fit, like, oh, it's beautiful. It's like looking at an album artwork. Like, when the album artwork feels like the way the record does, and the lyrics match the mood in your mind, and like it's such a beautiful thing. And it's just hard to do with music videos because we literally have zero control.
Well, one of the major things that Underoath is great at is the live performance. What does 2018, the rest of it, look like for y'all after this tour?
Lots of touring.
Lots more touring?
Lots more touring. We got a week off, and then we go to Europe. Then we're doing a bunch of festivals all summer. And then...
There'll be more stuff.
More stuff.
More stuff yet
More
to
stuff
be
and
announced.
More stuff and things yet to be announced. Yeah.
That's fair enough. Well, stay tuned for much more from Underoath. Be sure to get a Race Me Out in stores now. This is Jackie. Thanks to Chorus FM and In the Key of Change. All right.